You're allergic. Alright, Nugget, you can come here. Oh, you don't have to sit facing away from the camera. I wanted to, first of all, say hello. I'm gonna do a reading vlog, and I'm going to try to get through my physical TBR. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So this bookshelf here is my physical TBR for 2024. It is still 2024. Okay, so I have like a bunch of different genres. There are about 4 books in each genre. Only one has 5 books. There are like, I think 30 books on this bookshelf, maybe a little less than that. Usually in a year I read like from 60 to 70 books. I don't know, I think I'm at like 40 something right now. I have not been prioritizing these this summer. I've been reading a bunch of different stuff and not focusing on this. So I really want to spend like the rest of August and September, the beginning of September, really dialed in, if you will. I'm going to pick some from here, make a little TBR, micro, sub TBR, and then hopefully read them. So I do have a bunch of prompts, like a TBR prompt jar. I didn't put it in a jar, I put it in this fun cactus margarita glass, but same concept. Just a bunch of different prompts, and I'm going to pick 4 or 5, which feels ambitious. All the books where the pages are facing us, those have already been read, and I have this split into different genres. So I have lit fic / historical fiction, I have romance, I have speculative fiction, or at least what I think is speculative fiction, I'm not really sure. YA, horror, classics. This is thriller, I've finished that though. Nonfiction and fantasy. So out of the books that are still spine forward, that's what we're going to choose from. I'm going to pick my first prompt. Oh, okay. The first one I have, I don't know if that's going to focus or not, is a memoir. I have 2 memoirs on here. I have Hunger by Roxane Gay. This is about Roxane Gay's relationship with her body, which feels like something I should read right now. I also have Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, which also feels like a summer read. So between these two, maybe I could do like a Matthew McConaughey, like read this and then watch Interstellar, because I've never seen Interstellar. I feel like this one will be easier for me to get through and less emotional. I don't know if I want to do this right now. I'm gonna pick this because my mom has been hounding me to read this for months. Number 2. I have an author you've never read before. Okay, that should be easy. So I have read Stephen King, Paul Tremblay, Kristen Hanna I've read, Sarah J. Maas I've read. I think I'm going to go with something a little short. How do people make these kind of decisions like all at once on a video? This is so difficult. You know what, I'm going to pick A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. Right now I have this on Kindle, borrowed from the library, so yeah, that feels like reason enough. I've never read from Chelsea G. Summers before. This is their debut novel, so that feels like fitting for this prompt as well, so I'll pick that. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I have a good cover, so now I get to pick one that I like the cover of. Oh, fun. I really love this, this cover, and I really love this cover of Wuthering Heights. I've never read Wuthering Heights. I wouldn't say I am intimidated. It's a little more thought than I have in my brain. The way I feel about classics is the way I feel about like good TV shows, in that I have to allocate like so much brain power to watching, and it's not as relaxing. Let's see. This is probably like 400 pages. Oh, not even. This is 300 pages. Font is small. This is, can't read, 400 pages. Let's read this one. 100 Years of Solitude Out by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and put that in my pile. Hyped. Easy. Okay. Hyped. A book that is hyped. height. You could say that about 7-Year Slip for sure. You could say that about The Nightingale and Cruel Prince. But I'm gonna go with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Yeah, I feel confident in that choice. I feel like this will be a kind of a quicker read compared to the other ones that I have. I obviously need to get some YA read. I've only read Kingdom of the Wicked on my TBR so far. I was really hoping to pick a horror, so maybe I'll do one more prompt and see if I can't get a horror. This feels like a pretty healthy stack so far. Squeak, squeak, squeakums. Oh, horror! I picked my horror prompt. Okay. So that leaves me with A Head Full of Ghosts, Mary, or Salem's Lot. This is a lot shorter. I'm gonna go with Mary, just because I really need the motivation. Okay, that is a good list of books to read. Maybe every time I try it, like every time I do this, I'll put them in a different like glass, so it's always something new. This is my TBR. I have 5 books here. What am I gonna choose first? I think I'm actually going to choose this first. I've been aching for like some nonfiction. Green Lights, Matthew McConaughey. Let's go. This is the bear cover of Green Lights. I like it a lot. I am halfway, so I wanted to update you. It's been a very chill reading experience. Lighthearted, even though some of the subject matter isn't lighthearted. I don't know how I feel so far. I'm really enjoying like the stories that he has, the way he talks about acting and stories and characters. I like that a lot, and I mean that's what he's good at, so that's what I want to hear about. So there are a lot of things that I like in this and some things that I'm not liking so much. It's very deep for what it is. He says in the beginning he's not going to be preachy, but at times it does feel like I'm reading a self-help book, and that's just not my jam. Some of his outlooks on life are not the same as mine. He kind of has this running thing where he is talking about adversity and things that he's struggled with and how it's made him a better person. Great, fine. And he doesn't really fully tackle, I feel like, that these are bad things that have happened to him. Some of the things that he tells the stories about are like extremely violent and graphic, and he never says that they're bad. And I don't know that that's wrong. It's just making me slightly uncomfortable. I'm loving the humor, and I'm loving the vibes. I'm loving hearing his story. I like it for what it is. It is this weird mixture of like memoir and advice and poems. There's some poems that he's written. There's some nuggets of wisdom, I would say. The book is like super well presented, well designed. Throughout there are like pictures, and like his poems are on like little post-it notes so that you know that's what it is. It's just a really beautiful book, I would say. But yeah, I'm liking it. It's sitting at maybe like around a 3 for me right now. I'm not obsessed. Right now, he's just getting to his Hollywood career, like the very start of it. So I'm excited for more content about that. I want to play with the color balances on this and really fix the green. There's so much green in everything. I don't know. I can't get it right. I feel like it's like there's not enough work. Good morning. I'm here with an update. Not for green lights really. I've only read like maybe 10 pages of that. Hold on, let me pour my tea. Delightful. I haven't read very many pages of green lights, but I did start A Certain Hunger. I'm about 50 pages in. It's not what I thought it was gonna be. It's honestly reminded me a lot of like Mayfly, and that you're in this horrible person's brain. Rather than having this descent into madness from like that we get in Mayfly, it's more of like a reflection on this main character's past. But there's a lot of conversations still about being a woman, what violence looks like to a woman, how we have these preconceived notions of what a woman is, and how society builds women, and then is surprised when things look different. It's very good. I like it. It's a little hard for me brain-wise just because there's a lot of big words. So I'm really actually super glad that I have it on Kindle so I can just click on it and learn what the word is really quick. I like it so far, and it makes sense for the character. Like, she's very pretentious. She's a food critic and a murderess, and that's really all I know. Right now though, I'm gonna put this down. I'm gonna read physically for now with my tea. Done. I finished Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. It is certainly a book written by Matthew McConaughey. There was so much that I loved about this and resonated with me. I liked all of the stories that he had and the adventures he got to go on and was privileged enough to go on. I don't think he acknowledged that privilege enough, but he seems like a super, super cool guy. I loved following like his love story with his wife. I'm giving this a 3 at the end of the day. I don't feel like I'm going to think about it ever again. I'm not a huge McConaughey fan. I realized I started making a list of the movies I've seen with him in it, and I only have How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, Magic Mike, and Wolf of Wall Street. I think those are the only ones that I've seen. So maybe I'll watch one. This type of like memoir slash like self-helpy kind of deal is not really my thing, but I can see why people get a lot out of it. His emphasis on diversity and values and finding connections with people, I think can be really powerful, as well as like living in the moment, taking time to yourself, making sure that you know what your goals are and what your values are and sticking true to those. All good stuff. There are things that I did not agree with in here. There was a lot of being a man kind of stuff that I don't resonate with at all, or care about, or even agree with. So those are my thoughts. If you like celebrity memoirs, I think this is a decent one. I don't know, I haven't read that many of them. Cool. One book done. I'm happy about it. I'm halfway through A Certain Hunger, which is like the 125 mark. I'm a little less than half, but halfway through. You can see I've been marking it up a little bit. Loving the language of this book and the prose of this book. The writing is unique. It reads like as pretentious and obnoxious, but that's obviously on purpose because of the character that we're following. This is a fictional memoir. I wish I was reading this at like a slightly different time, only because I just finished reading a memoir, and I realized before that I was a Teenage Slasher, which is also like a fictional memoir, or at least a recounting of a personal history. That's my jam. Fictional memoir, talking to the reader is definitely my jam, but just that 3 in a row of being directly addressed by the author feels kind of a lot. Now that I'm like halfway into it, I am into it. I'm really loving it. I understand it better now. For some reason I thought she might be a vampire. She's not a vampire. So I don't know if this is speculative or not. Probably not, but it's fine. I don't know what else I would call it. I guess horror? Literary horror, maybe. It is quite graphic at times and very sensory in language and talking about food and grosser things. It's very unique and it's quite the reading experience. It's so pretentious, and then you jump like into a more crass way of speaking, and I find it so good and interesting. I tagged this one quote that I'm going to read. I got hired at the Boston Phoenix, an arty alt weekly that, like so many others, eventually died a slow, heavy asphyxiation under the boot of the internet. Funny how something as flimsy as a string of ones and zeros can be so massy, as democratic as the tax code, as voracious as a black hole, as weightless as a fart. The internet has made writers out of everyone, and it has made publishing into a short-term con, but I digress. So that's just what I mean. Like, it's like using these fancy words and like having these lofty ideas, but then she immediately brings it like down to like comparing to something to a fart. It's one of the most unique reading experiences I've had in a long time, so I'm going to continue. I might pick up the audiobook to Mary. I forgot that I bought that on Audible. If I do that, I'll do that. If I don't, I won't. My voice is a little off today, but I want to give you an update. I finished A Certain Hunger. I'm giving this 4 stars. I think if I had read it like last year, it would have been 5 stars. This just kind of like girl bossy take on serial killing. Just not my jam right now. I feel like if you like this, you should read Mayfly. I feel like Mayfly is kind of the less pretentious version of this, but this, there's a reason, you know, the narrator is super pretentious and like they use the word choices and stuff that they use. I feel like it's almost making fun of like that kind of Hannibal Lecter, the serial killer psychopath that's smarter than everyone else. You kind of get the feeling that she thinks she's smarter than she is while you're reading it, but I loved it, and I'm really glad that I read it. It was short, but it felt very long, probably because of how rambly it is, but I really enjoyed the narrative of it and how like she'd be in the middle of like the story of how she offed one of her boyfriends, and then she'd just stop and then have like a full 3-page conversation with us about food and did weird things to your appetite, man. 4 stars. I feel like it was a really great experience. It's off my TBR, so that's exciting. Now, switching gears, I have started Mary. I realized that I own this on Audible, so I've been reading it through the audiobook and getting a lot of crocheting done. So I'm already like over 100 pages in. This is following Mary. She's starting to see some things, and then she moves back to her hometown. She starts to see more things. Very alarming. She is going through menopause, and people are telling her, this is normal, you know, these symptoms you're experiencing, it's because you're not getting enough sleep. You're having these hallucinations because you're not sleeping enough because of your menopause. And she's like, no, that's not fine. That doesn't feel right, but okay. We're on the journey with her to figure this out. I'm actually so scared. I don't get scared by horror books very often. This is scaring me. The aesthetics of it, the things that we're seeing. There's a crawl space involved. No. That's not okay. I don't like that at all. So far, I think it would be a really good movie. It would be a really good movie. 100 pages into this. I've also started 100 Years of Solitude on my Kindle. I didn't get very far yet, but I started that last night. And what I know about that is that it's following this fictional town. And that's all I got, really. I kind of fell asleep pretty quickly. I'm having such a good time with these books. I'm in such a good reading mood. I'm crocheting a sweater. I'll show you later, but I'm gotten so far just from listening to my stories and crocheting. It makes me feel so productive. I'm sorry about the lighting and everything, but I'm over halfway in Mary. I meant to update at halfway, but I got a little carried away and things just kept happening. Up until like the halfway point, I was gonna come on here. Also, I'm sick, so that's why I sound like this. I was gonna come on here and tell you this is great, this is scary, it's too slow. And now it doesn't feel too slow. Now I have whiplash because of what is happening. I have a couple things. Oh, here comes my voice. I have a couple things I want to say that I love about this. I love how terrifying it is. There are several scenes that I think are going to be locked into my brain for the rest of my life. The audiobook narrator is very good, especially considering the kinds of like onomatopoeia and crap that, not crap, but you know what I mean, that Cassidy has in here. Earned that check, 100%. Two things I love, 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 love. One, it has some really cool, like, unique, like, tongue-in-cheek kind of commentary about, like, the true crime genre. One of the characters listens to true crime podcasts, like, the comedy kind, and, it's just kind of, not making fun of it, but, like, pointing out, like, how weird it is. like you're discussing these serious topics that happen to real people and making light of it in a way. It's just an interesting topic that I don't think we talk enough about true crime. I like that. I like that it's kind of talking about that because I think about that kind of a lot as someone who enjoys like fictional horror stories. So I think that's a really interesting conversation to have. The second thing I love about this is the way this is making me feel crazy. It's making me feel paranoid. I have the feelings of uneasiness and discomfort and like questioning my own eyes as I did when, well, ears. I feel the same way reading this book as I did watching Hereditary. And now I have Toni Collette as Mary. Like, this would be such a good movie if A24 did it. You know, artsy horror movie style. I feel like this would be perfect. I know I already said that. I feel crazy. I love it. I love it. That's what I want. I want to question my brain. Not that I don't do that enough. I'll see you probably when I finish. Hi, it's a teensy bit later. I was reading more. I read like another, I don't know, 30 pages. I'm scared. It's been so long since I've like genuinely felt fear from a book. And that's all. I just wanted to let you know that this is actually scary. I'm actually scared. Real time. Hi. I've never filmed here before. It's kind of cute. Except for my messy closet. I finished Mary. I'm giving this 4 stars. Link's eating. I guess I'll just try and do this later. Okay, an update. I have finished Mary by Nat Cassidy. I'm giving this 4 stars. There's so much that I liked about it, and not very much that I didn't like about it. It just doesn't feel like a 5 stars. I think it was maybe a little long. I was genuinely scared throughout the whole book, which is very rare for me for a horror. This wasn't what I expected it to be. It ended up being a very different story than I thought it was, which I think is a good thing. It is about misogyny and women's issues, and you can tell that Nat Cassidy comes at it with like a lot of care, and he had sensitivity readers and did a lot of research, and he has a discussion in the afterword, which if you don't read afterwards, I think you should read this one, and he talks about whether, you know, he has a right to even publish his story. He has a right to write this story, and it's a very interesting perspective and discussion, and I think for the better. So 4 stars. At the heart of it, it is a horror story. It has a lot of messages. I think I understand people who maybe are turned off by it, but it worked for me, especially the horror elements. So glad I finally got to this. I am 100 pages into 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This is very interesting. It is what I mostly expected it to be. We're following this town, and within this town we're following a family, like the founding family of the town, as they just go through one thing after another. They are very unique individuals, all very different, all very distinct characters. I wasn't into it for the first 50 pages. Now that I'm at the 100 page mark, I am enjoying it a lot more. It just took me a while to get into this kind of writing style because it is so wordy, so blocky. It's in third person, and like there are just these long paragraphs, page-long paragraphs, just saying what the characters are doing, and there isn't very much dialogue at all. It's kind of one of those storytelling methods which I think works for certain stories. I wouldn't say that I like this writing style, but I understand the use of it for a story like this, and I can get behind it. I don't feel like this is going to be 5 stars for me, but I feel like it's definitely worth the read. I mean, so much has happened, like, already, and, like, we're only in 100 pages in. My understanding is that it's, like, a multi-generational story. I'm reading on my Kindle mostly. I'm also reading a little physically. It's just a little intimidating physically because of the big blocks of text. So... I don't know if I told you this, but I did get the audiobook for 100 Years of Solitude. They got me, Audible got me with the $5 a month for 4 months thing. It's fine. Because of that, I've been able to get halfway while crocheting. I'm still working on this sweater. So it's like a nice cream, fuzzy, off-shoulder kind of sweater. I'm frustrated because this is a tangent, but I made the sleeves too long. Since the sleeves are attached like horizontally, this is the length, so I had to take them off and frog them and start them entirely over, which I want the sleeves to be a comfortable length, so I'm willing to go through this to make the sweater what I want it to be. It's all part of the process, is how I'm trying to look at it. Back to the book, back to reading, the reading vlog that I'm filming, that I'm doing. I am halfway through it. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm like entertained. I do have to focus kind of a lot to understand what's happening. I'm only listening on 1.5 speed. The translator is not, there's a fuzz on the cover of this, but it is translated from Spanish by Gregory Rabasa. I just want to mention that because I didn't realize, since it wasn't on the cover, I didn't realize it was translated. It's very long, but things are constantly happening. Like, you can't like half pay attention for even a second or you'll miss something super important. Like, some people just like die, or people just like get born, and then you are like 20 pages later they are mentioned again. You don't know who we're talking about. It's taking a lot of mental power to read this. It is drama. Reading this feels like making a Sims family, and like you have multi-generations and you're just like messing around. You're like full drama. Let's break these people up. Let's get these two together. That's like, it's just drama. Like, some of the one-liners that the women in this story have are crazy. I love the women in this story. I'm not the biggest fan of most of the men, so I'm entertained. I'm not really sure what I'm really supposed to be getting out of it. There is like magical realism, I guess you would say. A bunch of like magic things happen. There's like a plague of sleep insomnia. Just a bunch of magical things. Like, this family is like kind of magical, but that's not the forefront of the story. It just kind of adds to the narrative. I feel like this book, this update has just been a bunch of different thoughts thrown together, kind of like how this is a bunch of different stories strung along. On that note, I'm going to leave now. I think Nugget saw a mouse. There's this mouse that like runs across our patio every once in a while. I think he's living in the ceiling of our basement. I have to go. I have to stop talking. Hi. Oh my god, where is my brain? I have 50 pages left of 100 Years of Solitude. Can I finish it tonight? Maybe. We're gonna find out. Finished it, guys. I finished 100 Years of Solitude. That ending was so good. Going through this, I'm thinking the whole time, like, I like this. I like what I'm reading. I don't really understand the purpose of this. And then in like the last 2 pages, it's like, it was so unique and genius and smart. I'm just kind of like caught off guard, and I feel like before I give a rating or have final thoughts, I need to sit on this. I think it might have just given me like a low-key existential crisis, but I'm going to bed. I don't understand time. Hopefully I'll give you more fleshed out thoughts. Hello. How are you? I'm good, thank you for asking. Actually, not really. I have a headache. I woke up at 3 a.m. with a headache, and now I'm just suffering. It kind of like, it feels like it could turn into a migraine. When I get migraines, I have sinus issues. And I do have sinus issues. I don't know. It's a new day. I finished 100 Years of Solitude. I have no concrete thoughts in my head. I think after finishing it last night, I really didn't know what to rate it because of how that ending made me feel, and that ending was incredible, and I think because of that ending, it's going to be a 4 stars. I had a good time reading the book, but I wasn't like blown away until the ending. Like I said before, this book follows the Buendia family in this fictional town, and it's all kind of like about generations and how history repeats itself, how time is a circle, how you're basically on your own. Even though you have this family that you're born into, you're still like an individual being. All super powerful themes. I was not getting that until 80% of the way through. I was just kind of reading and having a good time, but not really getting the point. At the end of the day, it had a huge impact. I dreamed about it the whole night, and I think it's why I have this headache. You kind of realize at the end that everything is very much on purpose. It's so unique. I know I said that over and over last night, but it is such a unique reading experience. I would read more from this author. I just am not going to do it anytime soon because my brain needs a long break from thinking that much. I picked this up. This is a YA thriller. We're following Pippa, and she's trying to like solve a cold case that happened in her town. It's not really a cold case legally. Basically, I'm 50 pages in. It's easy to read. It's fun to read. I will update you at halfway. But so far, I'm enjoying it. I hate the name Pip. I don't mind Pippa, but Pip, I don't like it. Hi. I caved and got one of these Opala water bottles, and I have to say, it is kind of worth the hype. I was worried that it would be hard to clean, but it's not. Like, you could really get in there. I'm not here to talk about water bottles. I'm here to talk about the book that I'm reading. I am halfway through, a little over halfway through, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I'm gonna make some cereal. I have my Honey Nut Cheerios in a baggie because I accidentally ripped like the original bag too much. But it's kind of nice because I know like they won't get stale, you know? Let me just talk about everything except for the book that I'm reading. I don't usually have milk, so hopefully my body doesn't dislike me for that. I need a spoon. Oops, did I hit you? I've lived in this house for a year, and I still always pick up a fork instead of a spoon. I'm halfway through A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I'm having so much fun. This is exactly what I thought it would be. It's just a fun time. Goofy fun time. Suspend your disbelief and go with it. I am also rewatching Pretty Little Liars right now. I am having some trouble keeping those plot lines straight because they are the same vibe, and some of the things are very similar. So I'm trying to read this quickly so that I don't have to keep those two things straight in my head. So hopefully I can finish this within like the next day or two. It's so easy to read, flying through it, multimedia vibes, like I love it. I haven't fully watched Pretty Little Liars since I was in high school, so like going back and rewatching it is such a nostalgic experience for me. I'm having so much fun with it. I'm having so much fun with this book because of that. So I don't know if it's for everyone, but I know it's for me. And it's such a good, like, easy read that I need right now because 100 Years of Solitude took a lot out of me, I'm not going to lie. So this is the perfect palette cleanser. I'm having a blast. I will update you when this is finished, and then we'll be finished with the whole vlog. How cool is that? I've got, like, that'll be 5 books off of my physical TBR. That's huge. What order did I read these in? I know. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Okay. I'm here to wrap up this vlog, in case you can't tell. First off, we're gonna wrap up the books, we're gonna talk about them. But I did want to show you that I have almost finished this sweater. The ends are not woven in, but I have finished it, sewed it together, steam blocked it. I'm very happy with it. It was a process. It was definitely a process. I'll put the tutorial, the sweater tutorial, in my description because it is a YouTube tutorial. So there's that. Now this is a reading vlog, so let's talk about the books that we've been reading. We have got a chunk of my physical TBR done, thank goodness. I think I have 10. We have 10 more books on my physical TBR. Most of those are relatively short, so it is possible that I get all of those read by the end of the year. It's not probable, because I'm not in the mood for a couple of them. Oh, I missed one. 11. Oh, I missed another one. 12 books. I have 12 books left. I'm going to go through these one by one, from what I started with to what I ended with, talk about my rating and my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this video. I loved this. I hope maybe we'll do another one. It was very diverse in the genres that I was reading. I was able to kind of mood read at the same time as get my physical TBR read. So the first book that I read for this was Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. I read this at the recommendation of my mom. So glad that I did, and we were able to talk about it and chat about it. There are things that I didn't like that felt a little too convenient. I mean, it's a celebrity memoir, so what are you expecting? I do have a couple dog ears in here, just like things that I was able to take away from it. It's hard for me personally to relate to rich people. So yeah, this ended up being 3 stars from me. We read it. The next book I read was A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. This I gave 4 stars. This is not the first book on this list that I'm going to describe as a fever dream. There was a purpose to everything that happened in this book. I think this book was so well written. I think a lot of people feel like it is pretentious. A lot of people feel like it is unnecessary graphically. I think everything has a purpose. I think this is trying to get across messages about the way we treat the human body, and I liked it a lot. It's another one of those American Psycho but make it girl boss. I love American Psycho, the movie. I have not read the book, but I think if you like American Psycho, if you like Mayfly, I think this is a good thing for you to pick up. The next book I picked up was Mary by Nat Cassidy. What do I have to say about this? I gave this 4 stars. It is still 4 stars. While I was reading it, I was very immersed. This actually scared me, which is something that doesn't happen in a lot of horror books, especially a lot of paranormal horror books. I think the discussion about whether this straight man can really write this book and do it justice is something that I want to have a discussion about, and I want people to be talking about, because he's really offering an interesting perspective, I think, and I understand why people feel that gets weird and wrong. So if you read this and you have feelings about that, put that in the comments. But this is ending up at a 4 stars. Just, it's a little too long to be 5 stars. I feel like I haven't had very many 5 stars lately. I wanted to give one of these a 5 star, but I just didn't feel like it was right. The next book I read was 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This is the closest I got to getting a 5-star. The ending of this book had me flabbergasted. I was I was speechless, I guess. I immediately had like an existential crisis. What is time? What is life? What is family? I was losing my mind. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. You know, this made me just like appreciate what I have. Also, let go of things that don't serve me. It's not easy to get through. I will tell you that. But I think it's worth getting through. The next book I read was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is another... Nope, it's not. It's 3 stars. I feel like it is. I feel like it is 3 stars because it's just like... It's fun. This had twists and turns and fun things and like scary things. I was legitimately concerned for this teenager. I don't read very much YA thriller. I think this is like my second YA thriller, and I don't know if it's because she's in high school, but I was worried for her and her putting herself in these situations. But I guess in like adult thrillers, like I don't really care what happens to the adults, so I'm not like stressed out for them. But for this, I was like, relax, just call the police, be done with this. I will be reading the next 2 books. I just don't know when. And that's it. That's all the books I read in this video. I had such a blast doing like the little TBR pick thing, reading those. I am so lucky to be able to read these books and take in these stories, and I don't know, I'm just feeling very grateful for this experience. If you want to hang out, I won't clap. That was weird. If you want to hang out with me more, please subscribe, like this video. I'll have my socials and Etsy shop in the description along with the tutorial to this pattern. But I will see you soon. Bye.